Well, unfortunately, I'm not going to need these today. This rain is a welcome addition to our day, but interferes with the tavern and our plans to gather at the gazebo. So, this way. And after the pandemic, we're certainly used to it. At least it's not Zoom, right? Well, we will miss Lisa and Tom and Ernie and Kelly and seeing all your faces, but at least we get to share a thought with this, our 34th Tavern Talk, and it's on the Blues Brothers. One of my favorite movies, The Blues Brothers, was released in 1980. Some of you were probably children, some probably not even born, but I was a youngster. Anyway, it's been one of my favorite movies, and for a lot of different reasons. But it was directed and written by John Landis, who did Animal House. Maybe that's why. Dan Aykroyd wrote it with him. Dan Aykroyd wrote the original script, which was like the size of a telephone book, and they pared it down to the 2 hour and some odd minutes movie that we had. But John Belushi also starred in it, and it was about these two characters that John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd had created for a Saturday Night Live skit. And one thing led to another, and they ended up with a band. And so that's how it fed into the movie. And the plot is these two brothers grew up as orphans in St. Helen of the Blessed Shroud orphanage. And Jake and Ellwood. And Ellwood picks up Juliet Jake from prison, and you gather they've had a checkered past, and takes him back to the orphanage to meet with the Penguin, which is what they called the nun that was left there. We also meet a fellow named Curtis, who was with the boys growing up, who's played by Calloway, famous jazz singer from the 40s. And the movie stars and features lots of renowned musicians, mostly African American, but not totally. James Brown, Aretha Franklin, John Lee Hooker, Ray Charles, and that was really what they wanted to do. But the story is that the orphanage is going to be sold to the education board because it hasn't paid its taxes. It owes $5,000 in taxes, and the Penguin tells the boys about this plight. And so they go to church after that, have a conversion moment, and decide that they're going to put their band back together and raise money from a gig to pay the taxes on the orphanage. And throughout the movie, as they try to recruit their band members back, who are played by real musicians, that they tell people, we're on a mission from God. And it's set in Chicago, so it's that heavy Midwestern, we're on a mission from God. And they say that repeatedly. I won't tell you how the movie ends. You should go watch it if you've never seen it, because it's really entertaining. And it did a lot for the city of Chicago because Mayor Daley didn't support movies being made there. And this was one of the first ones to be made after he passed on, and sort of opened Chicago back up to movies. It also played into the continued success or resurgence of a number of the musicians, and certainly the blues. So really a fascinating story. You know, talking about being on a mission from God, I was very fortunate as I was growing up and, through today to get to do a lot of mission work. As a junior high and early high school student, I was able to go on mission trips to Arizona and Wyoming and Alaska and they were very meaningful to me. And I think they were a strong foundation in my life. I learned a lot about myself, and we did some work. In Arizona, we were out in the middle of nowhere, staying in tents, working on a church camp, and in Wyoming and Alaska, sort of the same thing, just out on a campsite or park or whatever that the churches there owned, and we were doing improvements to them. I also worked in summer camps that were church related and vacation Bible schools, and you probably did some of that growing up yourself. And then later in life, went on a mission trip to Louisiana after one of the hurricanes. Was fortunate to go to Chile and Kenya on mission trips that were foreign mission trips. Did Habitat for Humanity here locally. And in fact, we all at the Tavern helped out with the soup kitchen doing sack lunches on a Sunday. Why do we do these mission trips? I mean, what's the point of them, and are they really necessary? I mean, unlike the Blues Brothers, who were using their skills, and they were skilled musicians, pooling together to raise money for the orphanage. There are people who were much more skilled than I was, and than I am, that could have done the work that I did better. I mean, whether it was construction work in Arizona, Wyoming, Alaska, or Chile, where we were laying brick, or working with orphans in Kenya. I mean, we did some construction work in Kenya as well, but what's the point of this unskilled work? I mean, why wouldn't we just pay somebody to go do these things? Well, Jesus said in Matthew 28, verse 19, "Go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you." This is one of the verses that we talk about as to why we do missions. Go and make disciples of all nations. It said again in Acts, you will be my witnesses in Jerusalem and in all Judea and Samaria and to the ends of the earth. Is that what we were doing? I mean, were we making disciples? Were we being witnesses? I don't remember witnessing to anyone. We talked about it, but never really did it as a youth. I spoke at some of the gatherings in Kenya, but I don't know. Actually, I do. But there's some other scriptures that play into what we were doing that I think are important to think about as we assess what this mission work is and why we're doing it. In Galatians, we're told to serve one another humbly with love. And in Romans, each of us should please our neighbors for their good, to build them up. In another verse in Romans, be devoted to one another in love. Honor one another above yourselves. But we also have to remember that good deeds won't save our soul. Good deeds alone are not our mission and not our goal. In Ephesians, we're told, "For by grace you have been saved through faith. And this is not your own doing, it is the gift of God, not a result of works, so that no one may boast." So, how is it that we make disciples of others? How do we serve as witnesses for Christ? I mean, if that's why we're doing mission work, I mean, how are we doing that as teenagers doing construction work or as unskilled amateurs building a house for Habitat for Humanity? I mean, clearly we should use our God given strengths in mission work. Yes, people benefited and benefit even when amateurs provide the labor. But I'd submit to you that it's more than simply the services that we provided. It was more than the product of our work that was the point. It's the fact that we were there doing something, that we were doing something for someone else and not being paid to do it. And I think back on all these different mission experiences, and there were times when our impact was greater than the product of what we were doing. I remember on one of the mission trips to, maybe it was Arizona or Wyoming, we traveled in this old RV. It was a group of about, I don't know, 8 or 10, 14-year-old kids with 2 adults that were driving and chaperones and leaders, I guess. And it was an RV sort of like Cousin Eddie had in Christmas Vacation, not much to behold. But we went to a Pizza Hut to eat dinner, and we all had like matching, T-shirts or golf shirts that said what we were doing, had our name on it or whatever. And there was this fellow there. It was Arizona, I remember now. And he pulled up in a construction-looking truck next to us, and he's like, "What are y'all doing? What is this about?" Because what is this about? And we told him, we were there to clear some land and build this camp. And he looked at our ragtag group of 12 to 14-year-olds and said, "Well, do you have any heavy equipment?" We're like, "No, we got shovels and picks and sort of making our way with it there." And he said, "Well, I've got a bulldozer. Would that be helpful?" Sure. So he pulls out his wallet, offered to pay for our dinner. And then he showed up the next day with his bulldozer and cleared the road into the camp. So we had an impact. We were being witnesses to this man who wasn't our target audience. I remember in Chile, we were laying brick for an addition to this school for the Mapuche Indians, who are the indigenous people of Chile, and who've been mistreated historically in Chile. And as we're laying brick, the little boys and girls are going to school, and I looked up from all of us, again, amateurs laying brick, and the little kids are just sort of standing along the fence watching us. And it dawned on me that this is why we're here, not to build a brick wall, but to demonstrate to these kids what we're doing for them, that we're giving up something to be there for them. And how might that have impacted their life going forward? Much more than the actual building did. And in Kenya, anybody who's been to Africa will tell you, Africa does more for you than you ever do for anyone there. But it was just an experience of love. And even though we built, some playground stuff and whatnot, that's really not why we were there. It was really just to love. And that's what Jesus wants us to do, is to love each other. I mean, it's that simple. But we can't just have the love in our heart. I mean, we've got to demonstrate that love. We've got to model that love. We've got to put that love in action. That is what we are being witnesses to and for. It's a witness of Jesus' love for us and God's love for us. And after all, good deeds are a love language, right? But there are others. There are other ways to show love besides the good deeds, but good deeds are one. So, look, good deeds are important. Doing mission work is important. Going on mission trips is important. And if you've never done it, you really should, because you will get a lot out of it. And yes, you will provide something for your target, those people that you want to help, but you will do so much more. And if you're interested in going on a mission trip, I can hook you up. So you let me know, and we will together find a good fit for you where you can use your strengths and also just love. But we don't have to go anywhere. I mean, we're on a mission from God every day. We can use our strengths to benefit others each and every day, and we can simply love each other every day. And this mission from God, it lasts a lifetime. And we're in it together. We're on a mission from God, and it's nice to share it with you. So, hopefully we'll be able to get together again. And until then, I will miss you, and I will look forward to seeing you soon. Take care. God bless.